Hi guys, welcome to Tuesday Night Live. Let's see there, a little bit brighter. Okay, it's Tuesday night and I'm live. So Tuesday Night Live. It is let's see, August the 23rd. I think it's the August 23rd. It's the end of August. I was not able to be here last week. I was a little under the weather. But back, good. All is good, and I got something to share with you today. So thank you for joining me, and thank you for not joining me last weekend or not being upset that I wasn't here. Okay, so let me flip you down, and I'm going to show you my whole process of working through them. Actually, well, let me tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to do, hi Jody, we're going to do something called casing the catalog. So casing, you have heard this term before, I'm sure, if you've been following Stamping Up at all, but it's CASC, copy and share everything, or copy and steal everything, depends on who you are. And then there's another way that people do this, copy and selectively edit. And I am selectively editing, so that's kind of the version I'm going to do. And I'm going to show you what the catalog did with it, and then I'm going to show you what I did with it. But let me hang on one second. Let me get to the right page before I flip you over, because there's two samples here I want to show you. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me flip you down and talk to you about it and show you what I've been doing wrong for so long. Whoops, ceiling, desk. Okay, this is a stamp set that I'm using. Let me pull this down a little bit. Okay, actually, that's not the stamp set I'm using. It is cute, but that's not what I'm using. I'm using this one here called Bewitching, and it's got 3 little witchy hats, some witchy boots, some stars, and a spider. Adorable. There it is. And Stampin' Up! Generally provides 2 to 3 samples per stamp set, usually, throughout their catalog and their mini catalog. So there's a bunch of samples done here. These, by the way, are treat bags that are in our annual... Actually, I'm pretty sure they're in our annual catalog. Hi, Maureen. They could be in this catalog, but I'm pretty sure they're in the annual catalog. Yeah, for sure they are. Okay, so these treat bags can be found in the annual catalog. So these are some cute things that have been done with them. But when there is a bundle of any sort, so a bundle is a collection of a stamp set and a matching punch, or a stamp set and a matching die set, it is also featured in the back of the catalog, where there are some additional samples for you. And this was a sample that I was moved by. This one back here on page 72, which shows the bundle, which is the hat and the stamp set. And I'm going to show you, well, I'm going to work with this basic thing, and then I'm going to show you I'm going to change it out just a little bit. I'm going to selectively edit. So let me start with, my paper, I think. We're going to start with the paper here. I chose to use Highland Heather rather than this pumpkin pie. So that's where I'm starting this. And it's cut what we call, in the world of education, I think the rest of the world calls it this, I'm not sure. But in the world of education, we call this a hot dog cut, because it is long and thin like a hot dog roll, as opposed to short and squat like a hamburger roll. So this is a hot dog cut. So it's, oh, we're having a little thunderstorm now, and I hate thunder, so hopefully this will go well. It is 4 1/4 inches by 11, scored right down the middle at 5.5. So I'm going to take my Highland Heather ink pad and these stars, which are part of the stamp set, and I'm just, whoa, they're darker than I expected them to be. Well, there's nothing wrong with dark stars, right? Okay, so I'm randomly stamping them down the side, and I'm not concerned about the middle, because I'm going to cover that whole thing up. I should probably bring in, well, you won't be able to see both, so it doesn't matter. I was going to bring in my sample. If you're following along, I'm on page 72 of the catalog, and I am copying and selectively editing. Okay, So here was this, and you can see that they have some stars along the side. Maybe you can't see, but they do have stars along the side. And then they chose some DSP from a different package of paper, but I'm actually not going to use that one. I am going to use a different set of paper. So the paper I'm using is called Black and White Designs, and it's actually found in the around the Halloween part of the mini catalog. I forgot to start by saying I'm Betty Sakosha. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and the team leader for Power of Positive Inking. Nice to see you. Sorry I forgot that. Okay, so this is what the paper looks like. Mostly gray and black on one side. Lots of different patterns, but mostly gray and black, with the exception of this one, which is black and white. But then when you flip them over, they are the exact same pattern, but with white and black, as opposed to gray and black. So these are really handy because you can use them for nearly anything because you can change out the color on them. So while they are kind of found in the Halloween section, they are not necessarily Halloween-y. So the paper that I have chosen to use is this one here, and it is black and white, or white and black, but I'm going to use this side of it because I feel like it's more Halloween-y. So that's the side I'm going to use, but I don't want it to be white. I want it to be Highland Heather. So I'm going to take my my blending brush. You could also use a sponge to do this, but I'm using my blending brush, and I'm just blending the color on here. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit to show you. You could get a really cool, if this was the look you were looking for, you could go kind of do an ombre look, where you start really dark at the top and then work your way down. It's not the look I'm going for, but also would be a cool look. So I'm just filling this in all the way. I like to tap off on my paper. Matters less when you're working on a pattern that's as full as this, but if you were working on regular paper, like you wouldn't want these big, can you see those big splotches? You wouldn't want those on most images, you wouldn't want them. So I just get in the habit that I start on the paper and then swirl onto my designer paper or my cardstock, depending on what I'm using. Okay, so that's good enough. I'm okay if it's not all even because it is a Halloween card and it's kind of the look, right? Okay, so that is done. Whoops, wrong direction. That is done. I am going to attach this right to my my card front. So for this, I'm just going to use my regular adhesive. I'm using Stamping Seal. Use whatever you like. And I'm hopefully going to put it evenly spaced. We'll see. Can you see the bottom of this? Yeah. So I could get out a paper trimmer or I could just cut it with scissors. This happens all the time. When you cut things by hand, even when you think you're being exact, sometimes you're not. It's okay. Let's go in and fix it after. Okay, so now it's straight. Great. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, when you look at this here, this is what I'm basing this on, is there's, actually, before I get to that part, I decided I wanted to zhuzh this up a little. So I'm going to use some of this. Isn't this beautiful? This is the washi tape that is found in the Halloween section of the catalog. Let me see. It's got to be close. Yep, it's right there. Right on the same page as Bewitching. So it's hidden up there at the top. You can't tell how beautiful it is. But the colors that it comes in are Highland Heather, Old Olive. I'm pretty sure it's Old Olive, Black, and Pumpkin Pie. So I'm going to use I'm going to use the Pumpkin Pie because I want to bring in a little bit more kind of, Halloween-y color. So I am going to peel this and just run it right down along the side of my DSP, hopefully. nice and straight. Then at the bottom, I'm just going to give it a little snip. Come on. Snip. Okay. There we go. And then the same thing along this side. Right along the side. What's nice about this is it gives it a lot of sparkle for not a lot of price, right? Like you didn't have to use any sparkly paper. It's just a little washi tape. And you could use any color. That would be great with any color. Okay. La. Alrighty, right. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is they used a little patch of white paper along the middle. And so I have run my patch of white paper through our masonry. I think it's called masonry. It's the embossing folder with the bricks. And I'm going to put that right across here. But I do want to add some ribbon to it. So I'm copying that ribbon right there, which is our black and white gingham. And that is right here on the table. And I'm going to do, they did a big bow on it. I'm not going to do a big bow for a couple reasons. One, I'm not great at doing big bows. That's problem number one. But problem number two is that I am kind of running out of this ribbon and I need it for another project. So I'm going to minimalize what I use for ribbon here. So I'm doing this. I put some, I put Stampin' Seal Plus on the back because that's going to hold better than Stampin' Seal. You could use tear tape, anything that's really strong. It's tough to use green glue on this because it takes a while for it to dry on the ribbon, but anything like that, any strong adhesive should work fine. I'm going to put this right about there, I think. Okay. So that is held down there. And then I'll finish off the bow at the fake bow at the end. Okay, now let's get down to the real good part of this. I want to show you what I have done wrong for years. And that is, I have been using my Stamparatus wrong for years. Not kidding you. I did not know that I was using it wrong, but I was. I found this out a couple of weeks ago. This is a Stamparatus. You can find it in the Stampin' Up! Annual catalog. And it has, the real benefit of it is, well, there's a lot of benefits of it, but you can really measure where you're stamping something. So that comes in handy if you want to stamp. In this case, I want to stamp several images so I get a really dark image. It comes with the pad. This is just a little foam pad. So if you're using photopolymer, you'd want to use the foam pad. I'm not using photopolymer, so I don't need that. But I do keep a little fun foam, which is thinner. It's probably about half the size of the Stampin' Up! Pad that they put in, that they include. But I like to use that, so I'm using that here. Now, you can cut your own paper. That is completely fine, but Stampin' Up! Does sell some grid paper that fits perfectly in the Stamparatus. And that comes in very handy because there's a grid on it, hence the name. And there's a lot of projects you would want to use that for with the grid. Not what I'm doing today, but there are a lot of projects you want to use that for. On the back of the Stamparatus, there are 2 magnets. I have covered my magnets with painter's tape just to have something to kind of pull on to pick it up. Just gives it a little bit more, gives me a little bit more ability to pick it up. So that's what that is there for. Okay, now, let's start with this. I'm going to take my punch. This is my hat punch. Actually, what's it called? It is called, yeah, Witch Hat Builder Punch. So it's got the hat itself, and then it's got stars you can add to the hat, and it's got a band for the hat that you could use as well. So I really only want the hat. That's the only thing I care about, but it is going to punch out these other things. So I'm just going to have a table full of stars, which, you know, it's not a bad thing. But I don't care, like, if I don't get that whole belly band, or that whole hat band in there, because I really only want the hats. Okay, So I've got my 3 hats. I'm going to push them aside, get all of my stars out of the way. Now this is the thing. Okay, well, let me pull this back so I can show you. I'm going to punch one more because I want a bigger piece of paper to do this on. So I'm going to punch one more hat right there. I only needed 3, but I wanted this paper. So for years, let me tell you what I used to do. For years, I probably shouldn't show you this way because it's the wrong way, but I want to show you what I did. For years, I would put this down here. See if I can zoom you there. So I would put this right on my grid paper with my really strong magnets, and then I would take my stamp and I would put it right inside. I'd kind of wiggle it in because the side of the stamp has this like little edge here, and you can wiggle it right in to the outline of your what you punched out. But I'm here to tell you that not only is that labor intensive, it doesn't actually work that well. So recently I heard of this great tip that works so much better. So if you learn that way, forget about it, because I'm going to show you a much easier way to deal with this. You're going to take your, I'm using this hat. I need 3 hats that look just like this. So I'm going to put it right on the plate of my Stamparatus, and it's going to stamp right there. So I just want to hold down my paper right there. I'm going to take my ink pad. So for this, I'm using Memento, our Tuxedo Black Memento. It is much easier to ink up anything on a Stamparatus if you have a stamp case underneath it. It's the right height, so it just makes it much easier to ink it up, because you're going to bring your ink pad down to your image. Now, let me show you. Okay, it's really well inked up. I'm going to stamp it right here. There you go. Now I'm going to take this. I need to give it a little bit of a trim because my paper's too long. But now I'm going to take my punched image and I'm going to line it up right around my stamp. So it's kind of the opposite of what I had been doing all those years. And yet, it works perfect. So I hope you found that helpful hint. You actually stamp your image first, then put your cutout around it, and it will work out perfect. Now I'm taking one of the many cutouts I made. I'm going to put that right inside of the cutout, exactly right inside. I'm going to ink up my hat again, and then stamp like so. Just apply a little pressure, and if you carefully pick it up, it should stay put there. Now I want to show you that this image is not, it's good, but it's not as black as I want it to be. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to ink this up again. Move this over here. So my second inking, right, I'm giving it lots of juice there. And when I stamp this again, it should be in the exact same position, but it's getting doubly stamped, right? It's like espresso. It's like the espresso of stamping. And this actually stuck to that. But that's okay, because I know it's going to be perfect this time. Look at how dark that is. Oh, perfect, right? Okay, so let me do this really quickly. Hi, Abby. I can't see a lot of comments because I'm working down below, but I did see Abby's here, so hello, Abby. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to ink it up. I put my cutout of my hat right there. I'm going to ink it. I'm going to carefully pick it up. Hopefully it will stay put. It did. Again, it's good, but it could be better. And this is really handy if you want a nice, dark, crisp image. This is also handy if sometimes you're doing words and the last time you go to do them, they don't come out quite right. I'm seeing that I got a little smidge of something on my stamp, so I just cleaned that up. But it's going to be fine. I'm not concerned. Okay, again, Last one, I'm going to stick my hat right in the punch out. This also works for dies. Dies and punch outs are exactly the same thing when it comes to this. You just need a template. I am going to ink. This is a really juicy memento pad. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. Okay, again, it's pretty good, but can you see it's not quite as dark as it could be? So let me ink again. So I've inked each of these twice. So they are good and dark. Oops, got picked up over here. That's okay. No worries. Look at how dark that is. Perfect. Okay, so that is how you can really ink up something if you're using a die or a punch out. That's how you would use that. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is kind of the traditional way that you would think of using your Stamparatus. And I'm putting, this is the paper that's going to go in the inside of my card. So I'm just putting that down on my Stamparatus. I'm using both magnets, and I'm going to put little witchy boots here. So let me show you what I'm using. These cute little witchy boots. I'm going to put those right down here on the inside of my card. So I know where I want them. So this is the sticky side of my, this is the sticker side and the sticky side of the stamp. I'm going to just push the plate onto it. So now it's going to be ready to be inked up, and it will be right where I want it to be. And nice and juicy. Stamp once. I'm using both magnets, so it should be staying put right where I want it to. And it's good. Whoops. It's good. But let me show you. It's all right. It's pretty good. Well, let me show you how much better it could be. Oh, come on. Unzoom. Unzoom. Okay, I'll just move you over. That will work for now. Okay, so I'm just inking it up again. Making the... And just re-stamping that. So it's going to be exactly on top of where it was before. And so now, super black. Awesome. Okay. So that is my little lesson on Stamparatus 2 ways. With a punch out and just regular. Okay. Problem, because now I can't unzoom. There we go. You don't want to see my magnets all day, right? Okay, so let me flip this over. Put these back where they belong. Get that out of the way. Okay, so this is going to be the inside of my card. I am pleased with that. Let's just put it in. So I'm just using regular adhesive to put this on the inside of my card. Okay, back to the front. Now I have my 3 perfectly stamped hats. And I'm going to use, I stamped them in memento, and I'm going to use our blends. If you stamp them in Stays-On, you could use our regular markers. That would work as well. But I'm going to use our blends. And blends have 2 tips. They have a brush tip that, when brand new, is fantastic for doing large areas like the band of the hat or middles of flowers, that kind of thing. Anything you need something big for. What's beautiful about it is you never end up seeing lines. The back of it always looks like that. So you definitely have to cover the back. But that is what the beauty of it is, that you're never going to see a line. Now blends get their name because you can blend them with other colors. Most of them come with 2 colors in a pack, so a lighter version and a darker version. So you could give this like a lot of dimension by having light kind of come in on one side. I am lazy, And I'm not great at that, so I'm actually not going to be blending it, but just actually more or less coloring it. So this is Granny Apple Green that I'm using. So I'm using Highland Heather, Pumpkin Pie, and Granny Apple Green. Now you can hear what I'm doing, right? I'm making all these lines. I don't know if you can see that now. But that's all going to fade together and it's all going to look fine. Okay, so I'm just going to start to color some dots. There are 15 dots. So if I do 5 of each color, they should be good. There are also two other kinds of hats. I'm losing track because I'm trying to count and color. That's a lot. Okay, there are 2 other style hats. They're both witch hats, don't get me wrong. But let me just show you what they look like. So I've chose the polka dotted hat to work with here, but there's also a spider web hat and this hat here, which to me kind of has a very Harry Potter-ish sorting hat look to it. Okay, now through the magic of television, I have already done all 3 of these. So they have 3 different color bands, but they're basically all the same hat. And I was kind of looking for the look of sort of like Hocus Pocus-ish. That, by the way, I don't know if you know, but I believe it was filmed, if I'm not mistaken, it was filmed in Rhode Island, I think. At least part of it was filmed in Rhode Island. If you're watching this replay and you're like, who cares? I grew up in Rhode Island and I think it's kind of a cool thing. Okay, so this is how I'm going to arrange these. I'm referring back to my sample here, which had 3 hats. They were different colors. I just made different color bands. I'm happy with what I did, so I'm fine with that. So the bottom one I'm actually going to use green glue on or regular adhesive, and then the other 2, and I like it when it hangs over the side, so I'm going to do that. And since it's green glue, I can wiggle it as I wish. Let me see. And I'm going to put that guy there, I think. And yeah, I think that'll work just fine. So I'm going to use, I don't know why, I just pulled out black dimensionals. You don't need black dimensionals on this. They don't show through whether they're white or black in this case, but it's what I grabbed. But the bonus of black dimensionals, let me put this over here and I'll show you why in a second, is that they come with small and large dimensionals in the same package. Our regular dimensionals, you can either buy small or large, but the black ones come kind of as a mixed set, which is fun. Okay, so I'm kind of putting them all sort of scally-wonky there. And then I'm going to finish off my ribbon up here. I told you in this sample, they did a big bow. I do not have the ribbon. I don't have enough ribbon to do it, nor enough skill at this time of the night. So I'm taking a piece of ribbon like this, sticking it underneath and just tying a knot. And it kind of has the look of a bow. It serves the same purpose with a lot less ribbon and a lot easier time-wise. Okay, so that's there. Now, because this has white around the hat and there's this white band in the middle, I feel like it needs one more thing of white. So I've chosen to add some words up here. But the truth is, this set doesn't have any Halloween words, and it's the only Halloween set that I currently own this year. So I actually dug deep into my collection, and I found a paper pumpkin. Paper pumpkins are these kits that come to you every month. This one happens to be from 2019, and I used half of it. Actually, I bought 2 of them, so I used 1.5 of it. But they come with little baby stamps sets. So I don't have the whole stamp set here, but I do have the word that I'm using, which is Happy Halloween. And so that's what I'm using. I have a large collection of these little strips. Large collection of these little strips of paper. So these are a 1/2 inch. And if you do, oh, I'm getting all sorts of facts on this. The show, Hocus Pocus 2, was filmed at Chase Farm in Lincoln. And Sandy also said they were filming in Providence. And I think Maureen's daughter said she saw Jessica Parker. Jessica, what's her name? She's got 3 names. Anyway, she saw her recently, which is really cool. In any case, back to the point of the card. So this is a 1/2 inch. And if you do a lot of card making, every time you make this a layer, you end up with these 1/2 inch strips. I keep them, not all of them, but I keep them in like a little container because they come in very handy for thin words. And these are thin words. So I'm using my Happy Halloween. Sarah Jessica Parker. Thank you. That was her name. Still is her name. If you're watching, Sarah. Sorry, I messed that up. If Sarah's watching, I'm in big trouble. Okay, so I'm just doing my little Happy Halloween here. I'm going to cut that straight. This is a really easy way to do a flag. If you have not done that before, you just cut it right down the middle and then come in from either side, like so. And then you've got your little flag. Alrighty. So I'm going to put these on dimensionals. And I'm going to put this right up here in the corner. And that way I've got kind of the white around the hats, the white in the middle, and the white words. And I feel like that's good. It's enough balance of white. I could have actually, I probably wouldn't have had to put the words up here if I left. Remember at the beginning I talked about making the ombre. So if it went from dark purple down to medium purple to white, then this would be white down here, and that would have covered the third whiteness of this. All right, I'm going to stop here, but you could add a little more bling to this. You could add some rhinestones to this, but I feel like I've got enough sparkle with the washi tape, so I'm going to stop there. All right, so here is the original that I am casing, and here is my case of it. So very similar, but not exact. Now, I talked about Paper Pumpkin and how handy it is, because you do get a stamp set every month with that, as well as a little tiny ink pad. It's what we call a Stampin' Spot, which is a 1x1 ink pad. But this is a little commercial break here to tell you about these upcoming Paper Pumpkins. So you can buy them monthly, or you can buy a 3-month subscription or 6-month subscription. You can also put it on hold if you want to during that time. If, let's say, it's something you're really busy with something, and just say, don't send it this month, I don't have time to make it. But they are all inclusive kits, so you can, once you have a Stampin' block to begin with, they come with everything else you need. And with your first kit, you get a block. After that, you don't receive a block every month, but as long as a person has a block, they're able to make this. So you could also gift these to someone if you chose. So these are the upcoming ones, and they do mention that we never know what's going to be in them, but this is what the packaging will look like. So it kind of gives you an idea. So this one that looks very Halloweenish says Spooky Treat Packaging to coordinating holiday cards and gift tags. So my guess is that this is probably the spooky treat packaging, probably cards, probably tags. Don't quote me on this, but I think that's probably what the next 3 months are looking like. So if one or all of these appeal to you, now is the time that you want to sign up for Paper Pumpkin. So if I'm your demonstrator, reach out to me. If somebody else is your demonstrator and they sent you here, reach out to them. Scan this code I'll hold it straight, scan that code right now, and you can subscribe right now. The beauty of it is, too, that you can get refills after the fact. So if you, let's say these are tags and you love them, you can get refills on those as well, which is great. So this has to be done by the 10th of the month, so you have until the 10th of September to get your Paper Pumpkin subscription in so that you could get the spooky treat packaging. Sandy said she likes my card better. That's really sweet, Sandy. Theirs is cute too. I wouldn't have chose it if it wasn't cute, but yeah, so it's basically the same thing. So if you don't have all the supplies they have, you can make it yours in your own way. All right, so let me flip you down, chat with you for a second. Let me do this so you don't see my messy room. Boom. Okay. Did you see it? It's kind of messy. I got a lot going on. It's kind of messy. In any case, that was it. So that's how you case a card. But probably more importantly, that's how you're supposed to use a Stamparatus, apparently. For many years, I've been using it the wrong way. Not the easy way, the wrong way. Now that I figured out how to use this, it's going to be easy to mass produce things. And that's really, in this case, I wanted my witches' hats to be really dark. So that's why I used it in this case. There's a lot of things you can do with it. Like if you want your greeting to be different colors, you kind of can color in, you know, part of your greeting one color and part of the greeting the other color. And that's another way to use your Stamparatus, where you need it to stamp the same place every time. But also if you're mass producing things, I do have a project that I'm working on for a little convention I'm going to, and I need 24 hats. And so as soon as I finish with this, I'm about to go make my 24 hats and get them super dark the way I showed you tonight. So I hope that was helpful to you, because it was really helpful when I found out the correct way to do it. All right. Should you have any questions, please leave them below. If you have any comments, let me know if you watch this live, if you watch the replay. And if there's anything I can answer for you. If there's anything that you saw here that you need tonight, please seek out your the Stampin' Up! Demonstrator that brought you here. If I'm that person, seek me out, and I absolutely will help you with whatever it is you need. Remember, there are a couple days left of August, which means you can still take advantage of Celebration, which is freebies for qualifying orders of $50 or $100. So just go to your demonstrator's website and get the information on that and see what you would like to pick out with that. So if you actually, good news. No, it's not even that expensive. I was going to say if you get the Bewitching Bundle, you could get something free, but the Bewitching Bundle is only $34 for the hat and the stamp set. In any case, thanks for joining me, and I will reach out to me if there's anything you need, and I will see you next Tuesday. Thanks, guys. Have a good week. Bye-bye.